So you have your quilt top done, and it needs the backing ready, and you need to make that quilt sandwich. Today we're talking about our Quilting 101 series, and we're talking about how to prepare our background fabric, or backing fabric, and baste our quilt sandwich. How, you ask? Well, first, let me introduce myself. Hello, I'm Jackie, and I want to personally welcome you to Jackie Russell Creates, where I give tips, tricks, and techniques for all your quilting needs, whether they're a big project or a small project. If you want to learn more, or you found this video useful, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know the next time I upload a video, and you can be able to learn a new technique for that next quilt desire that you have. So until then, let's get busy preparing backing fabric so we can finish this quilt. And I actually happen to have, we're going to be talking about preparing our background and basting our quilt. Now I know there's several ways to do this, but this is my favorite way, and I just happen to have a quilt top. This is the chevron burst quilt. You can be able to find it here and in the end of the video, so you can watch it when you're finished watching this one. So preparing your background fabric. Before we can even baste, we have to make sure that we can make our sandwich and we have our background fabric and our batting are all squared away. What I do is I take my finished quilt top, and we need to measure it. So what I like to do, I like to fold it in half, just because that gives it easier. So then I just double my measurements, and the width is 27.5. So that makes it 55 inches. I just writing it down. And then I'm going to fold it in half the length so I can measure the length of my quilt. And it is 33.5. So that is 67. So I don't like to do math. So there's this app. It is called Quilting Calculator. And when you open it up, so this is what it looks like, this center one. When you open it, you want to go to backing and batting. And I leave my width of fabric at 43 inches. That's the standard. Now, if you're using wide fabric, you'll want to you want to change that. And then we want to add the width of our quilt top, which was 55. And then we're going to do the length, which was 67. And here you want to put in 2 to 4 inches, depending on how you're basting. So I'm putting 2 inches in and calculating. And so it will tell you how much yardage you're going to need based on if you have directional fabric, if it's going up and down. So I either needed 4 yards or 3 1/3 yard. We went and got our fabric, and I'm going to do something a little different on my backing. So there's several ways you can do it. This is just one, and I'll show you more later. But I'm going to put a strip in the center of my back. So let's get started on that. So I remeasure and make sure that I have the full length, which I've done that. I just take This is just how it comes off the bolt. And if I take, that is 36 inches, so that means I have 72 inches, so that will be plenty for my quilt. Now what I'm going to do is, because I want to cut my fabric right down the center on the width. So I'm going to fold it in half. That should give me at roughly 22 inches. Now I know I want to cut off, so I'm just going to cut right on this fold. And I'm going to get as close to the edge as I possibly can and just cut that little bit off. And then that should cut my fabric in half lengthwise. I like to save as much fabric, so that's why I go as close as I can. And there are my two pieces. That will give me my length. So what I'm going to now do is take the strip that I made, and we're going to sew it in the center between these two pieces of fabric. So our back is going to look like that. It will have the strip down the middle between the two pieces of cream. So there is our back. You could use wide fabric. You could take and have just a plain color. You could use scrap blocks. You know, you can make your back however you would like. Once you have your back prepared so it's the right length and right width, you want to make sure you iron it really, really good. And make sure that you get rid of all the threads. And then you want to make sure to iron your quilt top so it's nice and ironed as well. And then double check and make sure you don't have any loose threads poking through on the front or the back. Because this is a light color, you don't want to have dark threads seen through the fabric. So you want to make sure you have all of that cleared. Now we're ready to baste. Which way do we want to baste today? There's many options. But my favorite when I'm using pins, and that's how we're going to do it today, is with a pin. Basting, I like to do it on my bed. It's high enough up for me where I had knee surgery, and it makes it so much easier. So let's go baste. Okay, the first thing I do is I remove the pillows off my bed. And you probably can't see much because Miss Sugar May loves to help during this part. But I remove my pillows and then I stretch my background. So on the far side over there, I have it pinned to the mattress. So what I'm going to do is pull this corner tight so it's straight, and I'm just going to poke it right into my mattress. That will help keep that background fabric nice and tight. Then I'm going to come down to the middle and pin it. And all I'm doing is taking my pin and just shoving it right down into my mattress. Once I have my back fabric all nice and tight, we add the batting. Most of the time you're going to have to trim your batting. So I kind of do it the same way. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to pin it down. Now you could do this on your floor. You can do this on a table. I just find that my bed works the best for these, most of my quilts. Now if they're bigger quilts, I will do them on the floor. So now that I have an edge, I'm going to bring it up and pin it down. And I'm just using the same pins that I used for my background or backing fabric. You want to pull this tight, but because I'm using the poly low loft, you got to be careful that you don't pull too tight on your batting, but you want to pull it tight enough that it's tight, but you don't want to pull it so that you rip it, because it is a very thin batting. So once I get my batting on, I'm going to trim it, because I don't want all this extra hanging down. And yes, I make sure I'm not getting my bedding caught in the scissors. I do cut it a little extra, but that's just for my, watch out, Sugar May, my preference, just so I know I'm not cutting my fabric or anything else. I just don't want to have all of this extra. Then I'll roll that back up and use it for a different project. Now I want to make sure, because I have a directional, I want to make sure that I pin my top going the right direction. And so we're just going to lay the quilt top on top, and I am leaving space on each side for shrinkage. And as I pin, I make sure to keep it nice and tight. And so I'm going to just start on this side. I just have my pins. I have just safety pins that I got at Joann's in the quilting section. They do make quilting basting pins, but these work just fine. So I start up here at the top corner, and I'm going to pin, and then I just make sure I don't have my comforter in there, that it's just the 3 layers of my sandwich. And I work my way down this edge. And I pin about every 5 to 6 inches. And I smooth out my quilt top as I go. And I try to get as much into the safety pin as it will allow. So I take about a good inch of the fabric into my baste, into my pin. And you're going to do this through your whole quilt top, making sure you keep all 3 layers nice and tight. I am keeping those pins that are securing my bottom fabric and my batting into my mattress until I'm done basting. I come back up to the top and start all over again. But I want to go a couple rows this way, making sure that the top stays nice and tight. And then you would work down this row, making sure it stays nice and tight and straight. So I'm going to continue to pin this. This is, like I said, one process of basting your quilt tops. I will do more videos of the different techniques. But until then, happy quilting, my friends.